Schedule looks a little lighter than usual. There were some teams that took the week off, so we hope that they have had an opportunity to rest up and get ready for the upcoming district schedule. That is about a week out from starting, so we hope that has worked out well for them. Jake Berry at 956 Jake, along with myself, Tony Fortina at 956 Fortina, reminding you that if you've got a question you want to throw our way, you could always hit us up at the Twitter feeds at 956 Jake, at 956 Fortina, as we're dealing with the technical issues as we go through on a daily basis. But right now, we've got Coach Ramiro Leal of the Donna Redskins joining us here in the Huddle. Coach, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Doing very well. Look at you. You sound all rested after a bye week.
Well, believe it or not, I'm at a middle school game, so it's the only chance I really can come out here. But, yeah, kind of miss playing on Friday nights. But, we got the kids rested up, and the coach is a little rested up, so it wasn't bad.
But you brought up a fact that I think a lot of coaches, a lot of varsity coaches don't do. You're out visiting a middle school game. It's not a scouting, is it?
Oh, no. This is our feeder school. This is the only chance we get to go see some of the young kids. It's really hard with their schedule since they play Saturday mornings where we're at. So usually Saturday mornings we bring our varsity back in and we watch film and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to do both. So we got to take advantage of the open week whenever we can.
But not yourself, but is there ever a time where maybe you'll send your OC or your DC and you'll say, hey, listen, I want you to go down to the middle school, to our feeder school, and I want you to make sure that they're running not your system, but a system similar to yours so that when they become freshmen, they can just step into the role?
Well, believe it or not, each coordinator, because we have two feeder schools at Donna High. We have one coordinator assigned, an offensive, the defense, each one's assigned to a campus. And they run exactly what we do at the high school level. It's the exact same thing. Of course, it's a little bit watered down. They're just limited to so many things they can do because we basically just want them to get the fundamentals. It's always been about fundamentals in the middle school. I think sometimes some of these younger coaches get so much caught up in winning and losing that they lose focus of, getting the kids prepared when they get to the high school. So we send coordinators down there to make sure that they're just working on what they're supposed to be working with. They don't get too crazy. Some of these younger guys sometimes get a little crazy and come out here and say, whoa, that's not part of what we do. We're in, Donna, we run the ball. Sometimes we come out here and there's no backup. There's we got a little problem here. Let's try to fix this a little bit. But for the most part, these guys do a really good job.
And you guys have had great success. Coming off the split the way you guys have, we know that you were going to have your down years, but now you're starting to rebound a little bit more and you're starting to have a little bit more success following the split. And obviously that comes from doing that process there where you send guys to work with your feeder schools and say, okay, now we have, the competition's a little bit more. We need to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, I think, but really honestly, that this is our bloodline. We got to make sure that, our middle schools are well taken care of. I mean, sometimes I know that all the emphasis is always on the high school, but it all starts down here. The numbers, like I said, the fundamentals, everything's based off of this. From here, then it goes, of course, to the high school, the ninth grade, and so forth. But it has to be continuous, continuation and continuity that goes all the way through.
Okay, Coach. Now, I know that when you get to the middle school, a lot of parents are going to be like, look, there's Coach Leal. How many of them start showcasing their middle school kid to you and saying, hey, I know that you have a hole on the line or you're looking for a good back. Let me introduce you to my mijo and let me show you how he does, right?
Oh, God, yes. You'd be surprised how many of those things happen. When it comes to a scenario like this, Donna's a very, very football-oriented town.
No.
I get all kinds of stuff like that. I get a lot of those type of parents that say, my son's this and he's real good at this. And, I just go along with it. Like I said, sometimes, it's objective. Sometimes Miko's not as good as we think they are. But,
right.
My most important thing is that they're out here participating and getting better every day. That's what really counts.
And that, at the end of the day, is the most important thing, that they're out there participating.
Sure. I think, sometimes I go back to everybody, like the concept is that, everybody gets caught up in a lot of wins and losses. But a lot of these kids, they come from different type of environments and, their home life's a little bit different. Some of these kids, they need athletics, just, keep them in line. Of course, you got some kids that don't have a very stable environment, which, they probably, it's just a plus for them. But I think that's the big picture. Are we helping kids, better themselves? They can better society in general.
Coach, tell me about this year's Redskins squad.
Man, we're really excited. I know we're at 1-2, but I go back and look at, who we played, and we played some tough teams. I was going in. I wasn't very smart, scheduling some of these preseason games, but we played some really stiff competition. But the whole picture of it was to make us better. We'll get ready for district play. I've always said that, we can only get better by playing teams that, are, I don't want to say better than us, but, give us a challenge. They're going to, I think that's the biggest thing in life is how much we challenge ourselves every day, at school, at practice, and in everyday life activities. So I think that, that was the whole concept when we did this. I think we've had, good games, but I don't think we played the complete game. I know that the first game we were down by like 21 points and came back to almost, we tied it up and lost it 2 minutes against Brownsville Vets in a shootout. And, of course, with Wesco, we shot ourselves in the foot in the second half. And, again, same thing with Hannah. We had a real good first half. The second half, we struggled a little bit. I think once we put it all together, we should be okay. I think that, I like what I see. Of course, we got some really good, continuity with some of these guys that have been playing there. Returning letterman, we had 7 and 5 coming back. So I'm ready for district play.
When you talk about putting it all together, what is the one error is it mental? Is it physical? Is it just, we're having some mistakes? What is the one thing that's holding you back from putting it all together?
I've tried to just figure it out, and sometimes, it's like, the physicalness is there. Sometimes it's the mental part, the preparation mentally, are we ready? Sometimes the lack of, where we got the lead. I know last week, last week we were up 21-7 at half, and we're driving down. It just seems like the kids got lax. They thought, okay, we're going to win, and Hannah came back, and we squeaked by at the very end. And it's the same for the reversal. Coming out of Brownsville Vets, we came out really flat in the first quarter. They came back and scored in the first series, and basically we were down 21-7 at half. They scored in the first play, coming back down 28-7. Again, just lax. And then the kids wake up, and we put this big old run, come back and tied it 42-42 with 2 minutes. It's like I said, I think mentally, some of these kids are 16, 17-year-old kids, and, sometimes, you wonder what they're thinking at all times. But I think when we all get focused and we're mentally prepared as far as physically prepared, I think we'll be okay.
Coach Ramiro Leal of the Donna Redskins is joining us here in the Huddle on Fox Sports 1700. Coach, when you're down 28-7, how do you keep your team's composure? How do you tell them, hey, listen, there's still an opportunity for us to come back and win this. We just need to gain our composure back.
I think it's like a double-edged sword sometimes, and it even goes with the coaching. I came back at half at Vets, and I told them, look, we can't hit the panic button. I basically told the whole entire team and staff, look, I really don't care right now if we're going to win or lose this game. My biggest thing is how are we going to fight back to try to get back in it? Are we just going to fold it, or are we going to try to get there and fight? So the winning and loss right now is not what we're going to learn. It's going to be the character that we're going to rebuild off of this scenario. And I think the biggest thing I want you to do is not to quit. Just give it all you have. At the end of the day, we know we gave all we got, and we're building on what we did, and keep it close. We'll be okay. And I was real proud of the team, and they fought back, tremendously, and gave it a chance to win at the very end. So I think that in itself was a victory, I think, in the character aspect for the team, because, when it comes down to it, the character the team has, you can have all the physicalness and a team, but the characters are really going to count on a team. It's going to make you or break you when, adversity kicks in. So that's the biggest thing I've been fighting with these kids. Of course, they're 1 and 2, and I said, look, I think we have a better team than 1 and 2. It doesn't show in that. But I think what we do on out from what we learned these 3 games and we go to district play, it's going to really count.
Head coach Ramiro Leal of the Donna Redskins joining us here in the Huddle on Fox Sports 1700.
Coach, this is Jake. Hey, Monte Bowen.
Yes,
incredible, fast as sin. You've got him, and then you got Doherty. You got two of probably the best weapons, especially right now, the way your district is shaping up with Aguinaga hurt. How what is it like looking at those two and going, okay, when district comes, we're gonna be awesome.
Yeah, that's the big thing. With Bowen and those guys, I just want to try to keep them healthy. We had some really physical games, and it took some good shots, but still, Bowen has 600 yards in 3 games, and Doherty has about 400 yards in those 3 games. But, we're really making them click, to be honest with that offensive line. It's really starting to click. They're starting to gel, Don't take it away from any of those guys, but, there's a difference between a great back and a good back. Well, a good back's going to get me 5. These guys sometimes take it to the house. All they need is a crease. That's all I ask them. They give them a crease. And Monty's vision is incredible, and Doherty's quickness is incredible. And they're basically, they're the best friends of each other. They're not greedy, and it's really been a team concept. But, when you got guys like that, it makes it a little bit easier to call plays sometimes.
Now, who's your first game of district right now?
We got Southwest this Thursday. We'll open up Thursday at PSJ against Southwest.
No.
Yes, sir.
Is everything kind of shaping up the way you thought it would as far as your district? I mean, I know we haven't started district, but the way the teams are playing,
Well, what I figured, yes. I figured, the way it was going to, from the preseason, what I can get. I haven't seen every team, and I really don't know exactly. I haven't been able to see Mercedes. I've seen a little bit of film on Ed Couch, and I haven't seen the Brownsville schools, but I've seen Southwest and I've seen the Bears. And, more or less what I thought was going to shape up, or how it's looking to shape up, is exactly what we've been seeing so far.
When that schedule comes out, do you look at everybody's preseason schedule and then kind of determine, okay, these guys will be 1 and 2 coming into our game, or they'll be 2 and 4 coming into our game? Do you ever look at it that way and say this is the way we need to prep for it, or is just any given day 11 guys take on 11 guys and there's a different result each and every time?
Well, I think there's a lot of intangibles that come into play. Going into it early, you think, well, this team should beat this team, and this team should beat this team. Then you got stuff like you said, Ed Couch's quarterback stuff. Well, that's a different, puts a little different setting and stuff like that. But going in, yes, you figure that okay, this should happen, this should happen, this should happen. If it doesn't, why didn't it happen? Is there something going on we don't know? We start evaluating some stuff like that. We know how good are these teams depending on who they're playing. There could be a team could be 2-1, but who have they really played? A team could be 0-3, but who have they really played? So it really goes back to the scheduling makes a big difference.
Yeah, because you had an ambitious preseason, when you take on 3 6A schools, and now you're
that was. I mean, like I said, I go back. I said I guess I took my Batman pill or something because we started off with the first scrimmage against Los Fresnos. Those guys are very talented, and I thought we scrimmaged them pretty decent. And then we go play Rivera, who'd make it again 3 rounds of the playoffs. Then we go open against Brownsville Vets, and then we open against Westaco, and we get Hannah's like we played 5, 6, 18s with the scrimmages and a preseason. So I mean, but that's what I was hopefully by us playing it, it'll only get us better. And I thought that after I looked at it, I was looking at Channel 5, Dave doesn't. Well, of the top 6, we've already played 3 of those teams. You know what I mean? So I think we're doing okay as far as the caliber of what we chose to play.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you have your coaching hat and you have your psychologist hat on, because if psychologically you're looking at a team that's 1-2 on your squad, but you've played 5 incredible big boy teams, and you're a big boy team, but you're just not that big.
Yeah, the split has hurt us. With the depth, it's really where it's at. Of course we got some good players, but depth-wise, we don't have the depth that we used to have. When you go back and reevaluate, and I sit there, okay, well, how good are we really? We could be 3-0, and I could have played less caliber teams, but are we really that good? We could be 0-3, but are we really an 0-3 team depending on who we played? So I think as the psychology comes into play, and it plays a mental thing as far as also with the kids. You got to be careful because you go 0-3, the kids start doubting, are we really doing the right thing because we're losing? You know what I mean? Then you go 3-0, and the kids start getting a little big headed, think they're better than they really are. So you got to keep everything in perspective when you deal with these kids, and it's a lot of coaching and psychology, and it's like a juggling act. You try to balance everything else out, but you're right. You're exactly right. It is one of those type of deals that you got to balance and keep things in perspective.
Now, where do you lose the locker room, when you're 0-3 or when you're 3-0?
It's kind of weird. I've seen it both. I remember in the years that we've gone 0-3, came back and ran the table and went 7-3 and gone 2 rounds of playoffs. And I've seen when we've gone 3-0 and then hit a slump. You know what I mean? Because of what's going on and starts bickering. So I think that you keep everything in perspective. You take one game at a time and try to tell each kid, look, each game counts the same. We win by 50 in one game. We win by 1 in one game. It's still a W. If you lose by 1, it's still a loss. So you got to keep everything in perspective and take everything on a game-by-game basis and try not to put all your eggs in one basket when you're losing. When you're winning, you try to probably feed the monster and say, look, you got to continue doing this because they're going to be out to get you. So it's like you said, it's a big psychology type issue.
Now, I'm the kind of guy that would rather lose by 1 than get blown out. What kind of guy are you?
Sometimes I've sat down and thought this out, and sometimes, as crazy as this might sound, sometimes when you get your butt kicked, it's almost as good as a win because it gets these kids refocused. You start thinking, hey, I'm not as good as I really think I was. You come out a little bit hungry at practice, get pissed off, and you try to turn it up at practice. Well, what are you going to do to fix it? Are you going to sit there and cry about it, or are we going to do something about it to try to fix this? Nobody likes to get their butt kicked for sure. But sometimes when you lose by 1, you start making excuses. Oh, we should have won. But really, in theory, maybe you just got lucky and get beat worse. So it's a big intangible. We can go either way. But sometimes I think, as crazy as it sounds, a loss, kind of just triggers you up. I remember losing to Southwest the last year. There was not going to lie to you, I think the kids were really overconfident. Southwest hadn't won a district game in, 5 years. That turning point, came back into play. It's like, whoa, that woke everybody up. Now we got to basically win everything. We could lose one game, but we had to win out. The rest was to make the playoffs. So now your backs are against the wall. But it's something that they created for being lax about it. So like I said, sometimes a loss is almost as good as a win.
Well, speaking about your game this week, how fast is that game going to be? I mean, are we talking about getting out at 9:30? Because you guys they run.
Jake's trying to set up dinner plans for Thursday night.
Well, let's put it this way. I know that I think Wallbanger closes at 10. You might be able to make it by 10 o'clock there. So because
gratuitous free plug from Coach Leal for Wallbangers.
Well, I tell you, it's one of those things that it's no lie. We're gonna we do what we do best. We run the ball. We play action stuff like that. If we have to throw, we'll throw. But like you said, when we got some good athletes that can run the ball, we're going to do that. Southwest will probably do the same thing. Westville game finished really fast too. I think they had 0 yards passing against us, and we had some, but not that much. So it'll be ball control and like everything is situational football and probably just a big old type of a brawl, just back and forth, and hopefully we can come out victorious.
3 yards in a cloud of dust. It seems like that's the way to go.
Yeah, I get sometimes, the fans here in Donna sometimes want to air out the whole thing, but my biggest thing has always been, look, it's ball control. If they don't got the ball, they can't score. If we're milking the clock it's a chess match, and we're getting 3-4 yards, and we're moving the ball, and we score. It's a 14-play drive. Hey, if it gets demoralizing, I think sometimes the defense, because you can't stop 3 yards at a time. What are you going to do? There's no such thing. You're loading up the box, and you're still getting 3 yards, and they don't have no chance to come back. After a while, I think, it's the chess match starts to win. It's one of those type of deals when you go 3 and out. Now it gets to be a little dilemma. So, that's the biggest thing is execution and ball control. And, the kicking game plays a big part. Sometimes people don't pay attention to that, but kicking game is a real big deal. I think sometimes, we struggle sometimes with field goal kickers last year, and that kind of hurt us. I think we had 2 games we could have won because, we missed field goals. So that's a big part that sometimes people don't talk about. And we spend a lot of time in the kicking game, but sometimes, you know what I mean? Kickers are a little bit different, man. They're in their own little world. But like I said, we just try to do the best we can with them.
I'm trying to remember the last time Donna was considered a passing team.
I can't remember. I've been there 27 years. In the 27 years, we've never passed more than we ran, from what I can remember. Never have. Just to be really honest, it just fits what we do. We have kids that, I don't want to say they're not very fast, but we don't have very gifted as far as speed-wise here. But we have very, 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 very tough kids, and they give it all they got, and very, very humble kids. So it fits to what we do very well. Everybody here in the middle schools runs the eye, and guess what? Everybody wants to be the tailback, and everybody wants to run the ball, and that's the thing that comes up with it. Everybody wants to be the premier, off the eye, and that's the key off the offense, off the eye. So we always, key for that key tailback, which makes a big difference. If I had a 6'5" quarterback, we'd probably be in the spread, but we don't have a 6'5" quarterback. So the day that Donna gets a 6'5" or 6'2" quarterback, that has a cannon for an arm, we might be in a little bit more spread. But till then, we'll just give it to people like Bowen and Doherty and Paul Guetta, who's coming back. So we should be okay.
You might be in a spread, or there might be an investigation of what's going on at Donna ISD.
No, I probably will get something from UIL saying I recruited somebody. That's probably what's gonna happen. That's the first thing that I'm going to get out. How did he get a 6'5" or 6'4" quarterback throwing the ball? I'll have people here all over the place. You guys will be the first ones.
No. We'll let you coach. We'll just feed the information up to somebody else, but we'll let you coach.
I believe it.
Hey, Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck Thursday night against the Javelinas. You're playing at Far, so, there's that Donna Nation. The Redskins are going to have to travel. You're going to be all right with that.
Oh, yeah. They travel everywhere. Trust me. They're all over the place. It's a great band. It's a great tradition here, and it's a great place to coach football. And we're just lucky to be here.
You talk about tradition. Do you ever get any of the championship guys that come in and say, well, we should look at it from this point of view or this angle? Do they want to put their 2 cents in?
I get it all the time. I got one that was here before the Westville game, and how they did things and so. And, they're just trying to help and how they're doing and motivate the kids and stuff by all means, you know what I mean? But they've also understood that football has changed a lot since *61, It's a totally different. But let me tell you, those guys have really been supportive as far as supporting the Donna Redskins. I get emails from ex people. I get people calling they want a cap or something. They just true Redskins at heart after so many years, and it's just great. The tradition's really incredible. I don't think I could put words in as far as explain how much traditions here. They really take it very serious. I tell the kids, man, it's a big role to fill because you got grandparents, uncles, aunts, brothers, and sisters that that have all come here and bled maroon and gold, and it's your turn to keep the tradition going. But it's a special place to be at, to be honest with you.
And every year you're expected to bring that back.
Oh yeah, let me tell you, there's no doubt. They let you know about the expectations here. It's incredible. We're at 2 schools, but we might be at 2 schools, but the expectations haven't dropped.
Right.
They still want the same type of results, and I guess who wouldn't want the same type of results for so many years that have happened?
Yeah.
I think that's what motivates the kids and it gives us the intangible. I think that's a 12th man sometimes. It's that tradition, to be honest with you.
I agree, Coach. We appreciate the time. Good luck next Thursday night.
Hey, take care.
Thank you.
Nice talking to you guys. Bye-bye.
Coach Ramiro Leal of the Donna Redskins joining us here on the Huddle on 956sports.com and Fox Sports Radio 1700 KVNS. I've always wanted to ask that question of, I know that you're obviously going to get input from random parents, and they're going to say, hey, you got to do it like this, and that was my that was the first question that I asked about the middle school parents that want to showcase their kids. Hey, this is Mijo. Let me show you what he can do. Watch him. Watch the way he carries. Watch the way he cuts. But at the same time, you get those guys that were on the state championship team back in '61, and I'm sure that they want to throw their 2 cents in. And as a coach, it's an incredible balance that you've got to have to be able to make sure that, it just doesn't knock you out of your focus.
Yeah, I've been at games and I've had principals that a lot of principals are just academics. They really haven't, some have been coaches.
Right.
But they've come up to me and asked me, what were they thinking on that play? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm like you. I haven't watched the film like they have.
Right.
They've gone through film. And I think a lot of people forget that because it's not AAU. It's not club. These guys are coaching because if they don't coach well, they lose their job.
Right.
So I think people kind of need to take a step back and look at, what coaching actually entails.
You know what? That might be a good segment for 956sports.com where we go. I know that we've done, our version of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
We just did it all access with Weslaco. And if you wanted to see that, you could go on to 956sports.com. It's 4 episodes.
It's 3:15. I think one's 20 minutes long.
Okay.
So, but it gets you an in-depth look at what goes on at the beginning of the season.
At the beginning of the season. But I think we need to set aside one day where we're just, after a game.
Yeah.
And we're in there with the coach and they're breaking down the video. And, a lot of these coaches are very, they're full of adjectives.
Yeah.
And, some of those adjectives, it's not something that is, audible all the time. But that might be an interesting little series right there where we just, set up a camera and say, don't mind us. You guys do your thing and describe what you would do in the meeting. Because I think there would be, obviously we did the all access with Weslaco and Tony V opened the doors and that was great. But I'd like to see how Tony V breaks down the video. I'd like to see him after a W and after a loss as well. Because, guys like Tony V, guys like Manny Gomez and Harlingen, that they're known for their fiery personalities. They're known for their the way they look at the game, for the way that they handle themselves. I would love to just see, okay, this is what we've done, and this is where what we've done wrong.
And we've been around some coaches, following the sports scene for a while, and I've coached like basketball. You have some coaches that are, wow, they can motivate you any time of the day,
right?
And then you have some coaches that are really good X's and O's, and they need their assistants to do the motivating,
right?
And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people are more. They're just better at certain parts of the game.
Yeah.
And I think we need to look at that also because some coaches are really good at being offensive coordinators.
Yes.
But they can't be the man, Norv Turner.
Right. The Norv Turner, the Romeo Crennels, the Chan Gailey type guys where, they're great as coordinators. They've got a lot of success. Dom Capers was another guy, great defensive coordinator. But when it came time for him to be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, it just didn't amount to much, so.
And actually, Coach Leal was our second coach to allow us to do the all access, our Hard Knocks version.
Right.
And if you want to see what he does, it's incredible.
Is that also available on 956sports.com?
Yeah, that we can watch. You can watch Hidalgo, Weslaco East. We've done one each year for the last 4 years.
Okay.
Carlos did a great job with those.
The first one was
Hidalgo with Shea Patterson.
As a freshman. Second one
was Donna.
All right.
And Weslaco East.
And now Weslaco High School.
Yeah, and a lot of people ask why those schools. Well, Ford was the first one, and he was so good. Scott Ford.
Right.
He was galvanizing. You hated him or you loved him.
Right. And he was coming back to the Valley.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had been at Los Fresnos before, took off, then came back to take over the Pirates job.
Yeah.
Had Shea Patterson, who is right now listed
the number
as
one quarterback.
the number one quarterback in the nation. He's already committed to Ole Miss. So, you look at that, and then those factors coming into play, that's what led to us covering Hidalgo. And then you had, Donna. And Donna was coming off of, was that the first year of the split 3 years ago?
I want to say that was Coach Leal's first year. No, before the split.
Okay, it was before the split?
I think it was before the split. Yeah, and then Weslaco East, they had, Coach Burgett is awesome. I mean,
he's a quote machine for us.
Yes. And he's a soundbite machine. And then you've got Coach Tony V. I mean, you need something to sell it. You can't just have, a good team. You need to have individuals that help.
You have to have those personalities in play. So that's another one of the things to look at. If you visit 956sports.com, 956sports.com, spend a little time there and check out the many things that 956sports.com covers. All right, so we have the second hour of the show coming up. Who is left to cover?
We've got Coach Finley's coming on at
From
11.
Los Fresnos?
Yes. Trevor Spates. Some guy from McAllen Memorial.
I like that you're wearing your McAllen Memorial cap today, by the way.
Yes. If
you see
I'll show you on camera.
If you see it at 956sports.com on camera, tell us what's wrong with the McAllen Memorial cap that Jake is wearing.
Well, I love the hat. Coach Littleton gave it to me. The M is a little bit to the side.
Now you just told everybody what's wrong with the cap.
Well, yeah. But if you see it, the M's a little off center, and it made my hair go away. But it's a great hat. It's a great hat. The coaches say it's a collector's item because the M is to the side. I look kind of gangster, I think, or gangsta.
Duh.
Sorry. But yeah, thank you for the hat. I love the hat. And our last guest is David Gilpin, head coach of Mission Vets. They had a big win last night.
And somewhere in between, we got to squeeze in Celso Gonzalez, who is the golf coach at McAllen Memorial.